In the skies over Europe during World War II, the fight was often thought to be about pilot skill, aircraft technology, and mass production. But behind the scenes, another war was being fought, one of intelligence, repair, and reverse engineering. Imagine an Allied fighter, damaged, grounded, captured. Now imagine German mechanics restoring it, German pilots flying it, and aircrew studying its every move. That's the story of a plane repaired by a German mechanic and a program that changed how the German Air Force understood its enemy. Today we uncover how the unit known as Zirkus Rosarius took captured Allied aircraft, repaired them, tested them, and used them to teach the Luftwaffe how to fight better. In other words, a crashed enemy plane didn't just lie as scrap, it became a tool. The secret weapon wasn't a new aircraft. It was knowledge. When Allied fighters went down via battle damage, fuel shortage, pilot error, they often landed or crashed in territory controlled by Germany or occupied Europe. According to the German Federal Archives, when a plane crashed, a nearby airbase commandant's office was notified, and often steps were taken to recover the aircraft. The mechanics who went to work were tasked with dusting off bullet holes, replacing propellers, repairing landing gear, restoring wiring, making the plane airworthy again. They operated under secrecy because the value of the plane was intelligence. One such example, in 1944, a P-47D Alabama-bound, serial number 4222490, was forced to land at a German airfield in Caen after engine trouble. The Germans captured it, and after repair, the aircraft was transferred to Zirkus Rosarius and coded T9 plus FK. For the mechanic, the job was more than wrenching and welding. It was forensic. He had to figure out how the enemy machine worked, its fuel system, its armament, its weaknesses, without having the manuals. In doing so, the German mechanic didn't just fix a plane. He unlocked potential new tactics for the Luftwaffe. By 1943, the Luftwaffe leadership recognized the growing value of captured Allied aircraft. In response, they formed the Test and Evaluation Unit known as Zirkus Rosarius, which also was called the Wanderzirkus Rosarius. Commanded by Hauptmann Theodor Rosarius, this unit operated under the 2nd and 1st Versachsverband Oberbefehlshaber, der Luftwaffe. Its mission: collect Allied aircraft, fighters like the Spitfire Mark IX, P-51 Mustang, P-47 Thunderbolt, even bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress. Once recovered and repaired, these aircraft were repainted with German markings, often bearing unit code T9, and flown for test evaluation. Pilots and mechanics noted how they handled, where their strengths and weaknesses lay. Then the key step: the plane toured frontline Luftwaffe fighter units. Pilots could inspect and sometimes fly the enemy machine. The unit taught German aircrew, this is what you face, here's how to beat it. For the mechanic, engineer working behind the scenes, this meant the plane he restored had gone far beyond the workshop. It was a training tool, an intelligence asset, a game changer. Let's dive into one concrete example. A P-51B Mustang, serial number 4324825, codenamed Jerry, of the U.S. 334th Fighter Squadron, was captured on 6 June 1944. It was repaired and entered the fleet of Zirkus Rosarius as T9 plus HK. Mechanics in Germany replaced damaged components, repaired structural damage, repainted the wings and tail in German camouflage, and added German radio and communication gear. The plane was tested at the central test site at Rechlin. German pilots who flew it later reported mixed impressions. One said, although the P-51 was a fine airplane to fly, it was too disconcerting after so many hours in the snug confines of the 109. The value? German pilots learned how the Mustang and other Allied fighters behaved, their dive speed, roll rate, altitude performance, weaknesses in armament and visibility. Repairing the plane allowed the Luftwaffe test unit to gather actionable intelligence. Mechanics, therefore, were crucial. The plane had to fly again in enemy hands, be safe and reliable. Only then could pilots exploit its secrets. Without the mechanics' repair work, the intelligence loop could not close. What did the Luftwaffe learn from this program? Several key lessons emerged. Allied fighters like the P-51 had excellent high-altitude performance and range, but had weaknesses at lower altitudes or in cockpit ergonomics, as German pilots reported. By flying them, German pilots learned how to engage Allied fighters smartly. For example, avoid their kill zones, exploit their weaker roll or dive behaviors, force them into turns rather than letting them use their strengths. Authoritative yet accessible. Imagine a history documentary on WW2 aviation. Picture a mechanic wiping sweat from his brow as he adjusts the damaged Mustang's propeller. Mechanics helped by enabling these test flights, repairing foreign wiring, adapting instrumentation, ensuring the plane was safe for German technicians and pilots. Training sessions followed. Zirkus Rosarius would bring the captured aircraft to frontline units, show its cockpit, instruments, performance envelope, then hold briefings. This is what you face. Here's how to beat it. In effect, a repaired crashed plane became a classroom. For the mechanic who fixed it, his workshop job was the first chapter in a chain of knowledge that reached German fighter units. Did all this shift the war? The answer is nuanced. By 1944-45, the Luftwaffe was under enormous pressure. Resources, fuel, and pilots were dwindling. But the captured aircraft program did yield advantages. German fighter units were better briefed on what they faced. They could adapt tactics, avoid pitfalls, exploit weaknesses. For instance, knowing that a Mustang's roll rate changed at lower altitude meant a Bf-109 pilot might force a fight there. The mechanics' repair didn't simply put metal back in the air, it put knowledge into the fight. In an era when Allied air power dominated, every bit of intelligence helped. The Zirkus Rosarius program is a reminder that victory in the air depended not just on planes and pilots, but on workshops, technicians, and captured machines reborn under new markings. What lessons remain to us today? Repair and reverse engineer captured equipment remains a staple of military intelligence. Mechanics and engineers play a strategic role, not just those who fly, but those who rebuild and repurpose. A crashed enemy machine isn't just scrap. It can become a window into capability, into weakness. The story of one German mechanic repairing an Allied fighter is symbolic of this hidden war of knowledge. If you have ever wondered how a defeated Air Force learned and adapted, the answer lies sometimes in the hangar rather than the cockpit. A German mechanic fixed a crashed Allied plane, and in doing so, didn't just restore metal and wires. He helped change the Luftwaffe's mindset. He turned wreckage into insight. If you enjoyed this dive into a lesser-known chapter of WW2 aviation, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments which captured enemy equipment story surprised you the most. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden engines of history.